Dr. Capretto.
Yes, sir.
Can we go back to 3 slides of Dr. Capretto's? Father Lucas, backward 3. Yes. Do you people remember when I was talking to you early this morning when we had the children in here? We have a case. This is how close it gets to life and death. This is a case, and by the way, she allows me to say this. She was going to be here to say it herself. This lady had one of our staff attorneys, I don't have that big of a firm. I'm talking about a networked independent attorney. This network independent attorney approached her and said, we're not going to help you unless your son will deal with the addiction problem and the legal problem, okay? So he was visited at the Allegheny County Jail, and he was probably not yet ready. And he eventually said he was ready, and that attorney prepared a petition for bond reduction. He had not been adjudicated yet, and he was released. Oh, he was a petition for bond reduction. He was not released. And Steve, you follow the procedures. We're in Allegheny County Jail, and he's there. That attorney looked this kid in the eye and knew he was ready because he had been in jail for enough time to be detoxed. This kid looked like a movie star. You can't believe, front page Pittsburgh Press, you have not seen anybody who is so much of a future in front of him. There's a fight between husband and estranged, I think they were divorced or estranged, and again, she allows me to say this. He thinks his lawyer is smarter than that treatment stuff. The smarter lawyer, of course, went to the jail and said, I can have you out of here in 24 hours. Right, Steve? Probably could, right? He got him out in 24 hours. 17 days later, he was dead.
He did him no favor. Absolutely. There's somewhat of a myth that you have to reach bottom to change an addiction. Well, we can raise the bottom. And one of the best things is legal consequences. This is a perfect opportunity. What correlates with success is the longer you stay in treatment. If they would have required him to enter treatment and if he doesn't comply, be incarcerated, he's going to comply and do as well as people who do it on their own, actually. Even better, because he got this, axe hanging over his head.
I know that attorney very well who talked to him, and we already had, Doctor, a written behavioral modification contract, which include, if he was successful, blockade and whatever you would say, and that attorney, it was already a done deal, but he found somebody who would get him out without that condition.
Yeah, he enabled him.
Yeah, this was a condition of his bond.
Right.
Okay? So that's a binding order of court that would have saved this young man's life.
Can I just say, with the drug courts...
Well, hold on. I want you to say that. Come on. And this is Amy Komp, who runs our drug court.
I just say, I talk to parents every day. One of our biggest challenges is to encourage them to keep their kids in jail. They want to do what's best for them, but until we have things in order, until they plea into the court and they're going to be accountable to court, we want them in jail so that they're safe. And my biggest argument with people is, as long as they're in jail, you know every night that they're safe and they're not going to die with a needle in their arm. So it absolutely is a disservice to kids to let them out and put them back on the street, because you put them right back at risk. They're going to have to go back and detox anyhow. So that's a huge thing with us. It's a huge thing with the court system, is that have everything in place before these kids can come out and and not be accountable to anybody. So that's how.
No, absolutely. Drug courts are a tremendous thing. I mean, any community that doesn't have one is doing a great disservice to their community. Not only do they help reduce crime, they make the community safer, and they save lives. Now, you have to use common sense with them, but well-run drug courts, often with immediate sanctions, it's evidence-based. It's very effective.
I'm with Mahoning County.
Okay, I'm in Beaver County. What I've been doing is for the bond reductions with the express agreement that they go to an inpatient rehab treatment facility. If they should leave early, short of doctor's approval, then they revoke their bond and they go right back to jail, so that they're constantly monitored, so that there's that chance of recidivism is hopefully reduced. A question for you is, what's the recidivism rate of all the people you treat?
Well, it varies widely based on many factors: the age of the person, what drugs they're using, mental health problems. You know, somebody who's a 45-year-old accountant who's just been involved with pain medicines for 6 months and has a supportive family, his chances are very good, you know, 50, 60, 70% or greater. Like I said, for physicians, it's 85 to 90%. You get somebody who's homeless with a bipolar disorder, cocaine, heroin, their rates are probably 90, 95% recidivism because they don't get follow-up treatment. The more we treat somebody, and when you say recidivism, that again reflects that this is an acute disease. I mean, what's recidivism for diabetes? Well, you have to keep treating it over time, and there's where we need to do better in treating this as a chronic disease.
I want to interrupt here 1 second and remind you again, the main purpose of this is not to talk to these seats. The main purpose is to film this. Some of you would say, I really wish they would have heard Dr. Capretto. They can, because this will be online and it'll be mailed to people. Those of you who have intelligent opinions, we need those because somebody who doesn't even know we did this yet, a year from now is going to watch this online. So don't get into this thing where I'm talking to nobody. You're talking to that camera. That's very important.
We were just talking about medication-assisted treatment in the drug courts. We've gone a long way around this. Our drug court with Judge Durkin started in 1998. We've gone back and forth on medication-assisted treatment. We have been not accepting of people on methadone. The reason being is that our guinea pig case got pregnant, and once she got sanctioned, we couldn't sanction her because we couldn't put her in jail because she couldn't get her methadone and would harm the baby. So we've kind of gone back and forth on methadone. We have permitted people to go on Suboxone, but we're no longer letting them go to the private docs because they aren't following through with people getting treatment. They believe seeing them once a month is treatment, and we don't agree with that. But we do have an agency, Meridian Services, and now Gateway, Neil Kennedy is starting the Suboxone program. So through our treatment agencies that require treatment along with the Suboxone, we're permitting that. We're talking about Vivitrol. Our problem is that most of our people are not insured. We did just get a grant where we're going to be able to do 5, yay, 5 MAT treatment a year for a couple of years. So we can look at Vivitrol along with Suboxone. We have had a huge problem with Suboxone. The drug seeking in our community. We test them for Suboxone if they were prescribed it, and they should have it in their system. If it's not, we assume that they are trafficking it, and that is illegal. If they are not prescribed it and it is in their system, that's just illegal drug use. So medication-assisted treatment in the drug courts, again, you have to look at your community, you have to look at what's going on, you have to make sure you have competent and capable providers, and it's been an evolution for us with that.
Amy, question? Would it help if you had a 148-paragraph behavioral modification contract made into a binding order of court that spelled out that they had to, among other things, make their appointments, confirm they were made, and never miss one?
That's what we do.
Yeah, I was just saying. That's what these doctors are doing now with attorneys. Attorneys are making that tough on the client. And we have an ethical issue. We'll teach you all about that tomorrow, right? I'm your attorney. What do you mean? You made me do something I might not have needed to do? We have an ethical issue. Well, I'm going to teach you tomorrow how to get past that. But our job is to make that, you're worried about private docs. Now that document will make even the doctor follow through.
Right, and I think that, Judge Durkin, we were talking to the Bar Association of Mahoning County, and we had a guy that said that. What if I know I could get him out of this case? But he has a really serious problem.
I'm glad you asked that.
And he said, you know what? He said, our numbers show, if you're looking for the best interest of your client, that 91% of the people that come through our court are not going to commit and get and be, I'm 52, I can't think of words all the time, and is not going to be convicted of a new felony. We have a 9% recidivism rate.
Okay.
If they don't go through the court or they don't make it through the court, that goes up to 20, 30, 50% recidivism rate. So if you're looking for the best interest of your client, then do you not want to get them into a program?
You're talking to
Right.
the choir, and that's exactly what we do.
Yeah,
and that's exactly
exactly
what we do. We tell a client, listen, that phone book was full of all kind of attorneys. Pick one who wants to get you out as fast as possible, or pick one who wants to work at the legal and health problem.
Right.
Now, we've taken it another step further. Stephen Delpero there is a brilliant defensive attorney. And I know his mind's going right now into the Sixth Amendment rights of representation, right, Stephen? I know what you're thinking about. So what we've taken now is gone to another level where there's two attorneys. One is treatment counsel, one is legal counsel. So that this person, if somebody can get you out in 2 seconds because the stop had no probable cause or something like that, then, hey, you want to play that card? That's your card. But it's very important now to have the treatment attorney and the legal attorney so he gets all of his Sixth Amendment rights and all of his health rights put into a binding order of court.
And I think that there's always an argument about coerced treatment. You know, people say, well, if they're getting pushed into treatment, you talked about hitting a bottom. Unfortunately, with these kids, their bottom is often going to be death, because we're not talking about marijuana. We're talking about drugs, benzos, and opiates that are so incredibly dangerous, and these kids are so unaware of the problems with them. But so going for a bottom just doesn't make sense anymore. So one of the things, I so believe in coerced Jim Evans says all treatment is coerced treatment. Perhaps that's true, but in my brain, when you're talking about coerced treatment, I'm talking about legally coerced treatment. And I just so believe, and I know our providers believe, that the drug court is a better bet, because you're not going to have someone go through detox and decide to leave and not finish up with any treatment. They have to be in treatment. If they blow out of treatment and leave it, they're going to do 30 days in jail. It's an excellent deterrent. It really is. We've got people that want to leave, and we say, fine, leave, but you'll do 30 days in jail. They stay. And keeping, like you said, the longer you can keep them, the better that they're going to do. And I think our drug court provides that opportunity for them to stay.
It's win-win. The legal system wins, the community wins, the patient wins, the family wins. Everyone is better off. It's really a no-brainer when you really look at it intelligently.
I have a question. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure you will. My understanding is you need to be clean from Suboxone for approximately 5 days before being given the Vivitrol shot, is that right?
Yeah, you have to be off of Suboxone. I would recommend more like 8 to 10 days. You could try it at 5 days. If you give it a little early, you'll precipitate withdrawal because it's an opioid. And that's hard to do as an outpatient, but it's easy to do as an inpatient.
Now, what is the difference between the naltrexone pill? Do you have to be clean so many days?
No, the pill is the same. And one distinction I didn't make, because some insurance companies will say, it's the same medicine. Why should we pay more for the shot than the pill? Well, it's because with the shot, you have to make one decision a month. With the pill, you have to make 30 decisions a month, and compliance is huge. Anyone who works with addiction knows that people with addiction wax and wane with their motivation. The success rates with the shot are far superior to the pill because people just don't take the pill. They're just not compliant. If they did, if you can actually monitor them, if you could have a probation officer give it to them every day, it would work the same. But that's a cost. That's a costly thing to do.
Okay, thank you.
Dose them like methadone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple of things. One, Angela was talking about the Sixth Amendment issue there. One of the things that we do have in evaluating our clients as criminal defense lawyers is sometimes we have some options that the state's already given us. One of the options that we have is the state IP program. Now, one way you can sell that to a client is if you're, for example, saying, well, the state IP program based upon your certain situation might work for you, as opposed to, let's say, the intervention program with the Vivitrol is that they have to eat 2 years of dead time, or they have to eat a significant amount of dead time where they've been sitting in jail, and now they're going to eat a 2-year sentence on top to comply with the state IP rules, whereas they may view it or it can be couched in the form of a choice for them. In other words, there's ways to sell this to your clients where they are actually agreeing that it is in their best interest. That's number one. Number two, with the juveniles, under the new rules with the juvenile courts, with some of the situations at least, the attorney is generally appointed, and he's also considered to be the guardian ad litem, which means that he can make decisions that are not agreed to by his client for his client. He can take that best interest approach and apply it to their representation in that course. So there's some ways around that can be very, very helpful. And Angelo, and in fact Judge St. John and I had discussed the application to this also in CYS, where we're talking about a little bit less of the direct incarceration type thing, but we have addicted parents who are losing their children. We write those into family safety plans. We write them into the family service plans as well, where these parents will have to comply, or ultimately they could lose their children. So there's some other things that we can do, and there's a pretty broad application, I think, for us to be able to interpose this, because quite frankly, someone used the F word before, funding, whatever you want to call it. That's what the bottom line is, and its effectiveness is great from what I've seen, and the cost effectiveness, and obviously I'm along with Angelo here, I don't like to see people going to jail for this stuff. Those are the things that I thought were the most important.
No, excellent points. I learned some things there. I mean, we really need to work together, because those are things I didn't appreciate, so thank you.
How you doing? I'm Gary Hartman from Virginia. I have some personal experience with watching somebody with Vivitrol, and it actually worked for them. My question is, with people that are on Vivitrol and they go to the court systems, how do we get the court systems, the judges, the prosecutors' offices, to accept that this program does work? Get them educated, get them trained on there. That seems to be the biggest problem from the area that I'm from.
Well, that's, I think providing education, I think information, like you gave from the drug courts, that this does work, that you have reductions in recidivism rate, which, less felonies, so there's less crime on the street, it's less cost to taxpayers. Even if you don't care about human lives, it's a good thing to do. You can try to make the human thing and say, you're just soft on these, because I realize there's political pressures, but the cost of reducing, look at the, we can't incarcerate ourselves out of this drug problem, but showing information like that it does work, where it's shown to work, and again, ongoing education. If you're, again, a community that is not doing this is losing lives, is losing money, is increasing crime.
The drug courts especially, I mean, it's a bipartisan good, okay? For those people who want treatment for their people, maybe the more liberal idea that people need treatment, they need to get better, certainly the drug courts offer that. For those people who are more about, financial responsibility and that type of thing, the drug courts provide that. So it is both a conservative and a liberal good. And I want to...
It's tough work. I've known some people who would rather sit in jail than go through the treatment. Absolutely. Because this isn't just going to the country. You're working accountable. It's work and some sweat involved.
Yeah, drug courts. I think judges. It's such a difficult thing because so many judges are so different, so there's a program called there's an organization called the National Association of Drug Court, the National Drug Court Institute, NDCI, and they have all sorts of, statistics and stuff about the positive outcomes of drug courts and that kind of thing. Ohio has a judicial conference. They have a specialty docket section that has just specialty docket judges who do mental health courts, drug courts, family dependency treatment courts, and they talk about, the benefits of this. Do all the judges buy in? Absolutely not. Even some drug court judges are some of the worst judges that are out there. So it's such a difficult thing because you're dealing with egos and you're dealing with personalities, and it's tough, so.
Hi, Doctor. I'm Rob Downey.
Hi, Rob.
I'm from Allegheny County. I do a great deal of practice in criminal and a lot in juvenile. Angela wanted me to come up today to talk a little bit about the difficulties that we have with juvenile cases. It's been my impression that when you have a juvenile, there's another exponent in the equation, and it's if they get a record of any type, that carries, certain records carry into their adult life. So when I have a juvenile defendant who is committed a felony offense especially, a lot of them are motivated by drug usage, as you're well aware, and you made it
Sure.
abundantly clear.
Yeah.
Have you had much success, or do you have anything in your program where you're taking juveniles into your program pre-adjudication or predisposition of their case to try to get them clean, get them programmed up? And if so, are you having any success in any counties with getting their case diverted out of the system?
We've been treating adolescents for years. We just opened in September a 42-bed new adolescent youth building. We've been working with the juvenile court systems in Allegheny, Westmoreland County, Beaver County, off and on for years. And they'll send them to before them. We do have an adjudicated program where they're sent in lieu of going to a detention center. To be honest, I'm not, as far as their legal record, I'm not sure exactly how that plays out. I know we have success in terms of treating them. I'd like to say from what I know that in some cases, if they cooperate and are successful, then that charge does not follow them as a felony. I believe that's something that can be done. I mean, you may, we have some legal experts in our system. I usually just, I provide the treatment. Sometimes I don't necessarily know their legal. Yeah.
In Mahoning. Yeah.
But that can be a motivating factor. I mean, you have a kid, they're 16, 17, they got on and they've sold, stole something or sold something and don't have a criminal history otherwise. To offer them an opportunity to get help and not have this follow them their whole life, I think is a huge carrot and motivating factor. That's a good thing to consider on a case-by-case basis, obviously.
I think we're running into questions, and I agree with lady here from Mahoning. We're having some difficulties in Pennsylvania. Of course, we're 67 different counties.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own theory on how juveniles should be handled. Allegheny is fairly progressive, but I think that's for two main reasons. One, the huge caseload volume.
Yeah.
And two, Allegheny County has, in the public defender's office, an excellent unit of defense attorneys that specialize in juvenile law.
Good.
In fact, I think they're the highest rated unit in the Commonwealth right now.
Great.
But when you get into counties going north, you get like to Butler County, which is very resistant to programming. They want to do nothing unless they get an adjudication. If you're familiar with the juvenile system, we have, you can do a consent decree without admission, consent decrees with admission, or you get into full adjudication. Butler County won't even take first-time offender DUI kids that are 17 years old unless they are adjudicated. They won't let them enter consent decrees, which of course follows them. If they try to get into college, it denies them Pell Grants. And what we're trying to do now, that Angelo Pape and I have talked a great deal about, is a more unified approach towards all the counties so that we have to assault the counties because they're not going to come to us. We have to move this out. No, that's unfortunate. We have a county-by-county issue in Pennsylvania. Some of that's good. Some of that because we get good ideas from us. Elk County, there may be somebody up in Elk County who will have just an excellent idea that'll trickle down and we'll use it here. That's beneficial. The downside is without uniformity, excellent programs, and you have an excellent program. I have sent, over the years, literally tens of dozens of people through your program.
Thank you.
And I've never had a bad result. I have been one of those people like yourself. I, in fact, don't go to funerals anymore. I've buried too many clients.
It's tough.
But juveniles are a unique group because with a juvenile, you have somebody who is not only subject to extreme peer pressure and this typical angst of adolescence, you also have somebody that appears to me is more prone to addictive behavior because their triggers are lower. Am I correct in my thinking on that?
Yeah, well, they're more impulsive, their brain isn't developed. Adolescents are more likely to act out, but you also can, if you catch them, you can turn them around much quicker than adults who just have had years and years of this pattern. Adolescents are often the most resistant in their first 3 or 4 days in treatment, but often the most motivated, a week or two later.
It's been my impression, my most difficult sale with an adolescent is mom or dad.
Yeah.
It's not the kid.
Yeah.
Because I have
yeah.
mothers that literally are sitting in my office that will tell me that they have, is it Narcan?
Yeah.
They have Narcan at home for their kid when he overdoses, and they use it. I don't know how they get it.
Well,
I don't know how they get it,
Well,
but
I
they
know
have
how they no. There's a program, and actually, in harm reduction, it's a good thing they have it, but that's to keep them alive. But that doesn't stop the ball from snowballing down the hill. They need help and
To
treatment.
me, that's a problem that we have is that parents are not recognizing the problems with their own children. Often the parents have problems.
There do not. Yeah, we work very closely with families, and I totally agree with you. Working with the parents is often the greater challenge in care.
Now give me an idea. How do I convince a juvenile probation intake officer that they should let me delay adjudication of my juvenile client, until they've completed your program? In the southern tier, Washington County, Westmoreland County, Greene County, Blair, which is in central tier, Allegheny County, it's relatively easy.
Yeah.
You start going north towards Interstate 80 in Pennsylvania, lawyers in the South call that the 38th parallel. That is North Korea to us up there. I mean, they're brutal, and they don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Stages of change. I mean, just say, is it working for you? I mean, look what a problem we have. We're still, in spite of what they're doing, we have a greater drug problem. More kids are using, more kids are dying. I think it's time for them to visit Socrates' quote that I put up there. And just education. I think a good way, if you can bring in young people in recovery who have done this, who are doing well before them, and they concede, because I think at some level they don't really believe it. They just think this will never work. If they can have families come in and tell their stories and say, my life is better because of that, that sometimes will do much more than somebody like myself trying to give them a bunch of statistics.
And I think we're standing in the right building to start that. We're standing in a school with a bunch of highly educated people
A spiritually based program.
that can assist us a great deal.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
this little triad that
Yeah.
Angelo has is an excellent idea.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Just want to thank everybody for coming out today, and I know that we have a wealth of information for coming from you, Dr. Capretto. We just want to give you this as just a small
thank you.
token of our appreciation.
I appreciate being here and
Yes.
being asked and being part of this. Thank you for all that you do, and everyone
And all
does
the
it.
information that has come forth, just a wealth, you're just a wealth of knowledge, and I do appreciate it. Thank you.
My privilege and pleasure.
Thank you.
Dr. Capretto.